First, Trump sues Jamie Dimon for $5 billion because they disagree about your credit card.
Then how Heated Rivalry just spiked real-life hockey ticket sales by 75%.
And then the Apple iPin gets leaked. Will Apple's next product actually kill the iPhone?
Oh, 3 fantastic stories, Jack. Let's hit the tee, boy. This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Friday, the real Friday, January 23rd, 123, and today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Jack, I got 2 out of my 4 birthday wishes so far. Not too shabby for the birthday wish. Yeah, okay. Well, stocks rose. We're almost at a record high. There you go.
Okay, good.
And guac was not extra.
Yes, it was.
Okay, I know you're a Chipotle shareholder. Trisha and Daniel, Yetis from Boulder, Colorado, sent me a Chipotle gift certificate. So the guac
No way.
wasn't extra. First time in economic history.
That is a legendary move.
Yeah.
Dan from Denver?
Dan from Denver with the extra guac.
That's awesome. Let's get to the news.
For our first story, President Trump just sued Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, for $5 billion for closing his accounts after January 6th.
Here's how Jamie Dimon became an accidental leader of the business world's Trump resistance.
Oh, Yetis, America's president versus America's CEO. Forget Elon and Altman. This is the big battle of the business year.
Yesterday, the president of the United States filed a lawsuit in federal court against JP Morgan Chase and their CEO, Jamie Dimon, personally.
Jack, let's dive in T-Boy style to the litigation. What are we seeing in the red line there?
According to the lawsuit, JP Morgan Chase told Donald Trump in February of 2021 that his personal and business bank accounts would be closed in 2 months. So he better transfer that money somewhere else.
Now, we should sprinkle on some context here. That was weeks after the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Biden had just become president.
Trump says that the account closures were due to, quote-unquote, unsubstantiated woke beliefs and to follow political tides.
The lawsuit then claims that Jamie Dimon in particular put Trump's name on a blacklist of people the industry should refuse to open bank accounts with.
JP Morgan has responded to the lawsuit by saying they do not close accounts for political or religious reasons. They do close accounts because they create legal or regulatory risk for the company.
Now, Jack and I, we did work at banks, and we can tell you that federal law requires you review accounts for legal and regulatory risk. You watch a whole lot of office compliance videos every year to make sure you know your customer.
True. So JP Morgan could have decided Donald Trump would be charged with crimes, which he was in 3 jurisdictions.
But now, here's the situation. The president is demanding $5 billion from Jamie Dimon and America's biggest bank.
So, what's going to happen next? Will Chase settle and donate to Trump's presidential library, as Disney, CBS, a bunch of law firms, and a bunch of universities have?
Or will Jamie and JPM stand up for their rights and defend themselves in court?
We'll see. But one fascinating trend Nick and I have noticed. In 2025, just about 0 CEOs said anything publicly that might upset the president.
Even like the Heinz ketchup CEO was dancing on eggshells for a whole year there.
But so far in 2026, we're seeing a change. Just in 1 month, Jamie Dimon has said at least 3 things that have upset President Trump.
All right, we got the list here. Whip out the whiteboard. First, Jamie Dimon defended Jerry Powell. He said political pressure on the Fed would backfire on America.
Then Jamie Dimon said that President Trump's proposed 10% interest rate cap on credit cards would be, quote-unquote, an economic disaster.
And then just this week, he condemned Trump's immigration policy, saying, I don't like what I'm seeing with 5 grown men beating up little women.
That last one, Jamie Dimon said on Wednesday at Davos. And the very next day, Donald Trump sued him for $5 billion.
The message to other CEOs, speak negative about me in public and you get sued.
Which is ironically what Trump is suing Jamie Dimon for basically right now.
And there's still a 40% chance Jamie Dimon runs for president in 2028. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in President Trump versus Jamie?
If credit card interest rates do get capped, they'll get canceled.
Yetis, Jack and I want to focus on that credit card cap idea we mentioned earlier, which caused Jamie Dimon to actually mention Jack's home state of Vermont in this whole situation.
I don't think Jamie Dimon's ever publicly said Vermont.
Yeah, he actually needed help pronouncing it, I heard, Jack.
Well, on Monday, President Trump called on Congress to cap credit card interest rates for 1 year at 10%.
Now, Jamie Dimon says that if that happens, banks will close 80% of credit cards out there. Basically, if there's no margin, there's no model here.
And the reason is explained by Finance 101. With higher risk must come higher reward. If banks can't collect the higher reward of 20% interest, they simply won't offer credit cards in the first place.
So Jamie Dimon's interesting idea. He wants to test Trump's plan in Vermont and Massachusetts. Basically, cap credit cards in progressive states where senators agree with the interest rate cap.
And his prediction is that without the reward of high interest, banks will stop offering credit cards to the bottom 80% of credit scores in those states.
I mean, Jack, if you think about it, it's kind of like rent control in the real estate industry. Without a financial incentive, banks just won't do it.
We think a better idea to help people financially would be to ban overdraft fees. There's no negative consequences to that.
Because add it all up, and if credit cards get capped, credit cards get canceled. For our second story, the show Heated Rivalry has officially affected the economy. Hockey ticket sales are surging because of this hit gay hockey show.
What's really happening here, though? It's the Taylor Swift effect on ice.
All right, Jack, I'm checking the calendars here. We got exactly 2 weeks until the Winter Olympics begin in Milan. That's it.
America's pregame for the Winter Olympics is Canada's top show.
Because the number 2 show on HBO Max right now is Heated Rivalry.
It's the biggest moment for hockey since the Zamboni.
Yes, we know what you're thinking, Yetis. We did highlight Heated Rivalry earlier this month with a little bit of business analysis.
We pointed out that NHL is extremely dependent on hockey movies for mainstream.
Yeah, hockey has strong ROI at the box office. But today we've got an update because we just got more data, didn't we, Jack?
The gay hockey romance, Heated Rivalry, is now driving ticket sales of actual hockey.
Get this. On StubHub, ticket searches for hockey games are up 75%.
On SeatGeek, revenue on hockey tickets rose 30% since the show's first episodes were aired.
Google searches for hockey players, hockey books, they're at all-time highs, and not just because Henrik Lundqvist is a beautiful man.
It's because of the Heated Rivalry. Off the ice, concert venues are hosting Heated Rivalry-themed raves. 2 in Burlington, right near me, are sold out. It's just LGBTQ-friendly raves with like a vague hockey theme.
But besties, this is what Jack and I find fascinating. Yes, we are fans of hockey and Shane and Ilya, but we are most fascinated about the strategy here.
Oh, I thought you were going to say about the cottage.
More on the cottage in a sec. But there are a lot of X's and O's that went into the business of making the show that made it a success.
Yes, some strategic planning helped make Heated Rivalry a streaming hit that would make Coach Bombay proud.
Now, interestingly, HBO distributes the show in America, but it was produced by a Canadian company called Bell Media, which doesn't have other big shows in the country right now.
But people at Bell Media saw what happened at Bridgerton, and they said, we can copy that formula, but for hockey.
They copied Netflix's Bridgerton formula and broke it down like this: a racy script, an unknown cast, plus a surprise setting.
Heated Rivalry has all those things. Plus, great storytelling has to have stakes. For Bridgerton, it was lust within a formal monarchy.
For Heated Rivalry, the stakes are the tension of gay lovers in a sport without any openly gay pro players.
The other strategic move that led to Heated Rivalry's success was the timing of its launch.
The timing, because Heated Rivalry was originally planned to launch in February after the Winter Olympics, basically like a month from now.
Instead, they took a riskier approach that had a higher reward. They built momentum up before the Olympics.
So they moved the Heated Rivalry release date to Thanksgiving instead. And Jack, why is Thanksgiving a strategic choice?
The 6 weeks between Thanksgiving and New Year's are when consumers hunt for new shows and share the new stuff they're watching.
I mean, is there any better conversation starter at a holiday party than...
Dude, I heard about the Heated Rivalry on a chairlift over the holidays.
Classic, Jack. And that's what drives the industry.
And now Heated Rivalry is doing streaming numbers for HBO Max that would make Logan Roy jealous.
Get this. This may be one of the wildest hero stats we've ever come across.
1 out of 7 Heated Rivalry viewers rewatched an episode 5 times or more. We got to repeat that.
I don't think I've ever done that for anything, Jack.
1 out of 7 viewers rewatched an episode of Heated Rivalry 5 times. You know why, Nick?
Why, Jack?
The extremely explicit sex scenes. People watched it and then rewatched it 4 more times.
I thought you were going to say it was because they were curled up at the cottage binging on Hockey Bros. But Jack, before Sidney Crosby interrupts the pod, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Heated Rivalry in HBO?
The Taylor Swift effect just jumped sports, from football to hockey.
Now, Yetis, as a lifelong hockey player, I can tell you this is arguably hockey's biggest moment ever. Like Google searches for hockey players, they're at an all-time high, and we're down with it.
And it's because of Heated Rivalry. which has had dance raves sell out venues with 6,000 people from New York to California.
But here's the surprise when you dig further into the data. It's not gay men who are driving the viewership. Of the 8 million streaming viewers, 2/3 are female, according to HBO. And Jack's wife, Alex.
She's pulled me into a few episodes. I gotta say, it is a great storyline.
But we have seen this before, have we not, Jack? Taylor Swift in the NFL. She got football into the female gaze.
Her relationship with Travis Kelce drove NFL viewership among women under 35 up by 35%.
And according to a Harris poll, 79% of millennial women now identify as NFL fans. Those women, they are who's driving NFL merch growth right now.
Well, Heated Rivalry could be sparking interest among women in the NHL.
Well, hockey is having its Taylor Swift effect, but with Shane Hollander instead. Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story before the weekend. Jack, call a plumber, because we got a leak. Apple is reportedly building an AI wearable next year. We call it the iPin.
Because in 2027, everyone will be wearing devices with cameras and microphones that see and hear everything.
But first, congratulations to our buddies over at Apple, just voted by Fortune magazine the most admired company in America.
For the 19th year in a row. This is the most boring list ever. But Nick, the last successful product Apple actually launched was AirPods 10 years ago.
2016. So to remain admired, Jack, Apple needs something good. I need something new. I'm going to need something AI-ish.
And the answer, according to reporting from The Information, is a wearable pin that Apple's working on. It's the size of an AirTag. Nick and I call it the iPin.
Ah, the iPin. This thing will have a microphone and 2 cameras, and those will feed Siri with information about you all the time.
The result? A personal assistant, Siri, who knows what you've heard and seen all day because it's pinned right there on your cute top and it sees and hears everything.
For example, like Jack, you could say, "Hey Siri, where is my car parked in the airport garage?"
She knows the answer because she saw it. She was there when you parked it.
Or, "Hey Siri, when did my boss say that report was due again?"
Siri knows the answer because she heard it. She was there in the room.
Or, "Hey Siri, do these capris make my butt look big? What do you think?" She's going to give you an honest answer on that one, Jack, if I know Siri and if I know her looking at you.
Well, this whole story reveals the next era of tech hardware. Wearables as witnesses.
Wearables as witnesses. Yetis, the future will be recorded with microphones and cameras on your clothing.
Now that sounds kind of freaky, like a surveillance world we're entering, but it also offers you some really nice benefits as a consumer.
Yeah, you don't want to be wearing those capris maybe. Or we're already kind of seeing this, Jack, right? Like Meta shipped 4 million Ray-Ban glasses last year with built-in cameras recording everything.
Google invested in Warby Parker last year to build out the same thing. AI smart glasses.
Amazon acquired Bee last summer, a clip-on pin or bracelet that is always listening to you.
And OpenAI poached Apple's top designer, Johnny Ive, to create the same thing that Apple's working on. An always-on, always-listening AI wearable.
And now there are reports that OpenAI is building AirPods that have front-facing cameras that see what you see.
Yetis, the shift that's going to happen in tech hardware, here's one way to think of it. Today, the iPhone you have in your pocket is passive. It's like a squatter. It only does something if you summon it.
But tomorrow, the iPin will be active, absorbing your life 24/7 like some kind of digital unblinking owl.
Or Nick, not just like an unblinking owl, like Gary from Veep.
Selena Meyer, we know you're listening, and we know you approve of this message. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Apple making the iPin?
In AI assistance, context beats coding. The context is actually the moat.
So Jack and I were thinking, Yetis, like if there was a Mount Rushmore for assistants in movies, who are you going to put on it, Jack? Who are you putting on it?
Jarvis from Iron Man, Gary from Veep, Alfred from Batman, and Andy Sachs, which is Anne Hathaway's character in Devil Wears Prada.
By the end of the movie, she'd earned that role. The commonality here, besties, is that all of these assistants know their bosses incredibly well, so they can serve their bosses incredibly well.
That's why the tech you already have and use every day, they're going to win in the market for AI assistants in the future.
What Jack's saying is basically the big tech already has the 15 years of context about your life.
For example, Google's Gemini, it can plan your best vacation because Google has access to 15 years of your emails, your calendar, your search history, and your YouTube viewing.
Or Jack, Apple Siri could become your best AI therapist because it has 15 years of your photos, your iMessages, your fitness activity from the Apple Watch.
And soon, both Apple and Google will see and hear what you see and hear because of these always-on AI wearables.
And because the more context about you, the better AI can work for you.
Since context is the moat, the big tech incumbents have a huge advantage in AI.
Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us for the real Friday?
Apple is developing an iPin you'll put on your shirt that will see and hear everything you do.
All that context is a moat. It turns Siri into your Super Siri personal assistant, wearables as witnesses.
For our second story, Heated Rivalry is Canada's gay hockey romance, and it's driving ticket sale demand up 75%.
American women specifically, it's the Taylor Swift effect on ice.
And finally, the president sued Jamie Dimon and JP Chase for $5 billion for allegedly unfairly closing his accounts.
And if credit cards get capped, they get canceled.
But besties, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, the envelope, please, Jack. Oscar nominations came in yesterday, and Sinners, the genre-bending vampire movie, got a record 16 noms.
Yeah, 16 noms beats the previous record of 14, which was set by Titanic, La La Land, and a movie from way back in the day, All About Eve.
Yeah, we should point out Sinners is much more critically acclaimed than Twilight. I feel like that should be out there, Jack. Yeah.
In terms of vampire lore, Sinners gets the win.
By the way, Warner Brothers led all studios with 30 nominations. Seems like Netflix may have to up the price, Jack. And second, Capital One is buying Brex for $5.5 billion 9 years after Brex was founded by a couple of Brazilian entrepreneurs.
Brex started as the credit card for startups, but it's expanded into an entire financial platform for startups.
A reminder, Capital One also acquired rival credit card company Discover last year for $35 billion.
What's in your wallet, Capital One? Brex and Discover.
And a couple of Stanford grad dropouts. And finally, put Dimon versus Trump on hold. Ryanair and Elon are fighting online, and it's driving ticket sales for Ryanair.
Elon is mad that Ryanair won't add Starlink Wi-Fi to their airplanes, so he called the CEO stupid on Twitter.
And then he polled Twitter about whether he should buy Ryanair, which, as you know from studying abroad, is the super cheap budget European airline.
So Ryanair CEO turned his spat with Elon into a sales promo. And guess what? Bookings are up 2 to 3%.
Yeah, if you get into a fight with Elon, profit puppy. Now time for the best fact yet, which today is actually a correction to the pod.
Yeah, we're cleaning things up at the end of the week.
You got to do that before the weekend. It's like in box 0.
All right, so this one's from Laura Williams. We accidentally said Mark Carney was the Canadian president. We, of course, meant he was the prime minister.
And this next correction comes from Tom Sexton. Jack and I used an analogy about Aldi, the grocery store, and inflation, saying it was born in the darkness like Batman was.
Of course, Bane was born in the darkness, not Batman.
Besties, we rigorously fact-check the pod, but sometimes something slips in.
You think darkness is your ally?
No, actually, I thought the fact-checkers were our ally, Jack. Yetis, you look fantastic today. Whether you're out till 2 a.m. hard partying or you're out till 8 p.m. soft partying in a sauna.
Oh, man, dude, I need some soft partying this weekend.
Well, like half the country is going to be covered in snow this weekend from what I saw, Jack.
Although it could be like just a ton of rain or a ton of snow, depending on like 32 or 33. Did you pick up anything I just put down?
Yeah, it was pretty rudimentary physics lesson you just gave us. Thank you, Jack.
Well, Yetis, if it's rain, put on a raincoat. If it's snow, stay safe and do some snow angels.
And whoever you're hanging out with in that sauna at 8 p.m., tell them HYHTBOY. That helps us grow the pod.
Have you had the best one yet?
Celebrate the wins, and Jack and I will see you Monday. Before we go, a happy 123 birthday to Mila, celebrating on the way to Tahoe with Akshay, legendary longtime Yetis, Jack.
Happy birthday to Sarah Warren in Harlem, Georgia, who's listening with her kids, Allison and Isaac.
What's up, guys? And Jessica Haggerty has the best birthday yet down in Austin. Hope to see you at the live show, Jessica.
Happy birthday to Emily from Beaumont, Texas.
And Rocky Wanderson down in Columbus, Ohio is celebrating a fantastic birthday.
Happy birthday to Sarah Jorgensen in Seattle, Washington.
And Juno Yu, happy first birthday. This is your best one yet over in Los Angeles.
And happy 4-year wedding anniversary to Weish and Maddie up in Washington. And to anyone else celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.
This is Jack. I own stock of Netflix, Amazon, and Warby Parker. And Nick and I both own stock in Chipotle and Apple. That was a good Bane impression, and you know.
That was really good. That was really good. Like, honestly, I thought you had a device. I thought you had a device on you. I don't know how you did that because you stepped away from the microphone.